just how excited people are about Quilting Cuddle, about quilting with Cuddle. In the I Love Cuddle Facebook group, which is a fun place to be, and we'd like to invite you to join if you're not already in there. People ask all kinds of questions about working with Cuddle fabric, but they also share their projects. So if you're looking for some inspiration on what to do with your fat quarter bundle of Quilting Cuddle, if you're the winner of today's giveaway, or if you're the winner of the big National Quilting Month giveaway. We're due for a getaway, aren't we? That National Quilting Month giveaway that includes 3 fat quarter bundles. You may want to check out what people are making over in the I Love Cuddle Facebook group. Be sure to put I Love Cuddle fabric. It's important. And we will get you in and verified so that you can join on the fun that we have over there. All right, Ajer, tell us a little about what we're going to do today.
All right, so we're answering all your questions about quilting with Cuddle and Quilting Cuddle. If you've got any questions there, we're happy to interact with you guys and any questions that come through. We also, as Sheila said, we have Billy Veerkamp with us again today to answer your questions about her process, her quilts. I know people kind of had some extra questions last time. We didn't get to it all. So Sheila and I had some background questions for her and stuff that we never even got to because we just get carried away with these. But before we bring her on, people have already asked a few questions, and I thought maybe we'd ask some of those. So let me think. Oh yeah. So this one here. Oh, yep. Oh, Kristen read my mind. She put it right on there. Or maybe it was Ginger. Yeah. Are there specific settings for the sewing machine to use for Cuddle? So this is a very general question, but we love this. Sheila, what would you say our specific settings would be?
Well, also, first of all, I have to say hi to Ernie because she was at our Cuddle Up, the very first Cuddle Up class that I did in Plant City, Florida. So hi, Ernie.
Yay.
Ernie is a incredible maker. She just has the coolest projects, and she does rhinestones. She does all the things. She's just fantastic. So, anyway, I'm happy to see her. Yeah. So for sewing machines, serging, any sewing for constructing sewing things with Cuddle, 9014 stretch needle, lower your presser foot pressure, use a walking foot. If you're using a serger, raise the presser or use the differential feed and drop it down so that it's putting a little bit of tension on the fabric for you. So those are our general settings. And we have tips and we have tools. We have tip sheets. We have like a Cuddle 101 tip sheet that we can link here that helps you remember what those settings are so that you can do it. Sometimes when we're in our sewing room, we're bouncing around from project to project. If you're like me and you have, crafting ADD and you just want to keep making all the things and, so we may need to remember, a stretch needle. Did I say a 9014 stretch needle?
I think so. Yep. I think that was just automatically came out of your mouth. So you may not have even heard yourself say it. We say it so much.
I do. But that's kind of like, that's the most basic one. Because if you're not getting good stitch quality, the first thing you should check is your needle. Like, is it a new needle? Is it the right kind? So a 9014 is a heavier needle because we've got a heavier fabric. It's a stretch needle, so it's kind of in between a ballpoint and a sharp. It doesn't pierce the fabric. It kind of slides through the knit because Cuddle's a knit fabric. And with the knit fabric, if you don't use a stretch or a ballpoint needle, you'll get skip stitches. So the first thing I always suggest to people is try the right needle. And then a lot of those issues will be solved. But also because it's thicker, we want to reduce the presser foot pressure so that the fabric's not curling up around the presser foot while you're sewing. If it's pushing down too hard, it's going to have a hard time feeding the fabric through.
So I had that. There's another question here that was just asked by Helen Powers. And so I feel like some of the tips that you just said here could help her. I feel like she already knows a lot of these tips, but using the 1/4-inch foot with Quilting Cuddle is definitely possible. We've been doing it. I actually have a Janome that I use AccuFeed for as well. And no, it's not AccuFeed. I'm using something else. Maybe it is AccuFeed. Anyway, and I'm getting the 1/4-inch seam just fine, but I'm not using the 1/4-inch foot. if that makes sense.
Mm.
I wonder if you tried using the wider foot and it was keeping like even pressure on it versus trying to angle it into that. I wonder if you would have better success, Helen. Um, I know that I reduced my pressure, just like Sheila was saying, kind of take some pressure off of the presser foot can help because it kind of can get squished up in there. Um, but we've also got some other tips for Quilting Cuddle that we'll get into as we bring Billy on. But some of the things, if you're not already doing the things Sheila already mentioned, I think that is where I would start with and then go from there.
I'm going to add one more thing to that too, because if your fabric's getting caught, you know, it's not feeding in well. There's a couple other things you can try. Like you could start with a leader, which is like a little. I've got them all over the place here, but just a little scrap of folded over cuddle. That's the
Yep.
same. This is what you're working on. Send that under the needle first, and start with your needle in the fabric. Like don't
Mhm.
try to run up onto it, the presser foot down, but raise your presser foot and put the needle or fabric right under the needle. Lower it,
Mhm.
start,
Yep.
and then feed your fabric in. The other thing that you can do is you can use a straight stitch plate on your sewing machine instead of the standard plate. So I know with I've got a Janome, a sewing machine also, and I know that I can switch the plates from something that lets me do a wide zigzag to a tiny little hole that the needle goes in. I can only do straight stitching with that. Nothing fancy, no zigzags or curves.
Mhm. Yep.
But that also helps to not get a snarl or a bird's nest underneath as I go through.
Yep.
That's a good
And
question. Sometimes
the
we
other
forget those little
one
things.
thing I do as well, and you've seen me do this if you've seen me sew with Cuddle Live on Sew Together Live. I my old Janome needs me to almost pull the threads in the back. So like even if I use a leader, I kind of have to pull the leader at first. So I found if I start my threads, my bobbin and my needle thread in the back, if I give them a gentle tug as it's getting started, then it's smooth sailing from there. So you'll figure out what works best with your machine, but there's always something like that that hangs us up.
Right.
Um, all right, do we want to bring Billy on and we can even if we get more questions, we can get them answered from her. I know there was a quick question on there that said, is this shorter than C3? And I saw it was answered out in the comments, but we'll just answer it here as well. Yes, Quilting Cuddle is 1.5 millimeters, C3 is 3 millimeters. So yep, that's half the pile of the others. So hey
Awesome.
Billy.
Hi,
I'm gonna
Billy.
I'm gonna put us into this view instead so we can really highlight Billy. There we
There we
go.
go.
Oh,
There we go. You're on the hot
big
seat
time.
now.
Oh dear.
I love to see the quilt that you've been chatting. You've been showing us kind of your progress pics in the I Love Cuddle group, and to see it hanging behind you was so exciting.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I was trying to, one, as I'm putting quilts together, I automatically start thinking about what design is going to enhance this
Mm,
quilt. What designs, where do I need to start trying them out and looking at seeing whether it is. So I literally start thinking about how I'm going to quilt it while I'm making it. So, it's then hang it up and it really usually tells you
Yep.
exactly. Fabric talks to me. I know it's like, okay.
it does.
I love it.
It lets us know kind of what it needs from us, and when it's misbehaving, I mean, we're in charge, right?
Yes,
And so we can be the one to do something different to because the fabric's going to do what the fabric's going to do, but we're in charge and we want to make it do what we want. It's our project.
exactly.
But the fabric does have preferences. Our machines have preferences, and we've got to know all those things so that we can get what we want out of it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, and you have to be willing to try something else.
Yes.
I mean, it's like, okay, this is not working. I don't know, it worked yesterday and it's not today. Do
Mm.
I just need to lengthen the stitch out a little bit? Do I need to put in a new needle? I know
Mhm.
when I put in a new needle for every project, it just makes such a difference because your needle over time gets dull,
Mhm.
and just changing out the needle, I keep packs and packs of, hey, just change it out. It's way easier than fussing with it. And it's like, whoa, that did it. That
Yep.
was the one thing, so
Uh-huh.
I
So
like to
Jackie just pointed out she thinks you're wearing something with Cloud Cuddle. What are
I
you
am.
wearing back there?
Of course, everybody knows I live in Montana. It actually,
Mhm.
we're having a snow shower right at the moment.
My goodness.
And I I have probably 20 or 30 shirts made with Cuddle, either Cloud Cuddle or you've seen me bling them up with the rhinestones.
Yep.
But yeah, I am a huge, huge fan of Cloud Cuddle for shirts. And it's just, a simplicity pattern that to go and boy, I love them. They keep me toasty.
It is. And they just look so nice because I bet you're super cozy, but it looks a little bit like refined. It's very, very nice.
Oops. Yeah, it's got that kind of little placard on the
Uh-huh.
front and the
Yep.
little, belt waist
Yeah.
thing and
Very cute.
little cuffs and, sergers, you sew it on and then you serge all the edges. So it's like, woohoo, win-win,
it is a win-win, that's for sure.
win-win.
And just another comment from Jackie. Y'all say hi to Jackie. She's running our comments over on YouTube.
Oh, Jackie.
But
There you go. Hey, Jackie, thank
Jackie says
you.
when she does her first stitch, she goes a little bit into the fabric first. So she doesn't start right at the edge.
Yep.
She starts kind of on the fabric, backs up, and then starts going forward again. That's a great tip. And
Mhm.
that's something that like I do that at the end also. And I don't end at the end of the fabric. I end back up in it. So
Mhm.
it's just it feels a little tidier to me sometimes. And I think when I used to sew, I was trying to sew fast and get done. I'm not at that stage of life anymore. I'm at the stage where it needs to stay together and look good, right? And so we do things a little bit differently when we're sewing that way. And
Yeah.
so some of those things are just things you pick up over time. So if you haven't tried those tips yet, maybe there's something you can use here. So, all right. I wanted to say something because I don't want to miss this. Billy's written a book. Did y'all know Billy's written a book? Billy's written a book with some of her.
Very exciting.
She's been working with Cuddle fabric for a very long time. Um, I grabbed a copy of this, and I think it's fantastic. So, Billy, tell us a little bit about your book and why you wrote it, and what may be coming in the future.
Okay. I started writing down all these cool things. I have the coolest group of quilting friends, and literally they have a billion more years of experience than I've ever had, but I was always the weird one. What, you're sewing with that? Really? You're gonna, well, we want you to show us how to do that. And it was like, well, I'll tell you, we're at the quilt retreats all the time. I'll tell you anything you want to know. No, you got to write it down. So my quilting friends poked me and poked me and poked me until I wrote it all down, just how to do a strip quilt with C3. And it literally, by the time I wrote it all out, I had 8 pages and it was like, well, dang, I'm almost there, So I thought, hey, okay, well, I'll put this all together and give people different ideas who haven't tried Cuddle. I mean, it was before we got Quilting Cuddle, which
Mhm.
is, I love. But, I used stabilizer, on the edges, and I use it with, I'll show all you guys, I do a bolt at a time, and it is 906F Pellon shear weight fusible. And I
Mhm.
use my AccuCutter. I take out 3 sheets of 61 inches apiece, which gives you 5 yards, and fold them up and put them on the AccuCutter and one roll through, and you have 5 yards of 3/4 inch wide shear weight stabilizer. And I only use stabilizer on the edge of things. I don't want to at all destroy what we love about
Mhm.
cuddle, that soft and feel and movability and everything that we love about the fabric. Stabilizing the whole thing just kind of takes, you just kind of go, well, that wasn't what I wanted to do. But if you just put it on the edges, and press it, it
Yeah.
literally makes it, not only can you get those crispy edges when you are doing half square triangles or you're doing matching up points. They don't slide off of the point, when you try to pin them. And I use a plastic shoe over my iron so I don't have to have
Mhm.
a presser sheet. I just pop it. You can get these right off of Amazon. They cost like $8 or $9. And they're literally, you just slide it under your under your iron, put it on, and you can press. Of course, I only ever press from the back, but you can press and do things that you would normally drag over your sheet to make sure that you're not hurting the fabric or getting too hot or anything else. I will tell you there are some tricks about using the stabilizer even on the edge. If you find that you're getting it too hot, it actually will shrink the pellon. And
Hmm.
then you're going, wait a minute, I cut this to 3.5. Now I'm not quite 3.5. So what happens is the pellon itself shrinks when you're pressing it, and so it's something to keep in mind, if, okay, instead of making it 3.5, make it an 1/8 inch wider. If that is an issue for you. If it's not an issue for you, right on, you are amazing. But if it happens to be, it is something to pay attention to, because it's like, wait a minute, it's got this pattern doesn't have any wiggle room and it's got to be exact. So if you are going to try that technique, then maybe you don't really want to press it onto the edge, and maybe float it underneath your presser foot and allow it, when you are pressing open your seams or pressing your corners in, then you can press into
Hmm.
um, the pellon and get it on, but it's so thin and it's in the background of your quilt, you'll never see it. So it's just something to keep in mind if you're going to be doing something really intricate or a really tiny piece that you want to be just exact. Then if you're pressing it and it seems to shrink the fabric, then don't press the next one floated underneath.
We got one question. Would SF-101 work, and why would you use this instead of that? Like, just
Well, that's a good question.
Well, it's not that you can't. You can absolutely use any kind that you choose. This just happens to be so blessed thin.
so
You
it's
can,
thinner than the SF-101
yeah,
then? Yep.
yeah. I mean, it is sheer weight. It's the thinnest you can get.
Okay.
And it literally, you can tear it if you're not liking it.
Mm.
It's like, man, this is not working for me.
Yeah.
You can literally peel it off and tear it, because it is so thin.
Mm.
Mm,
You just, there is no, it just uh has a little more utility. I mean,
Mhm.
if you need that a little bit thicker, and I have every weight known to God in my stash, because there are times that, you're doing a denim jacket and you want that
Yeah.
stability along that edge, and you want it to not have any flimsiness to it. It's just with Cuddle, I found the thinner it can be and still give you that stability to press open and give you crispy edges.
Hmm.
It just
That's great.
works really, really well,
Yeah.
you know,
Great.
and
And then,
it has a tendency to shrink less because it's
okay.
so thin.
That's
So
really good. And I think I like what you're saying about keeping the drapeability of
Yeah.
quilting still drapey. I mean, that's why we love Cuddle because it's so soft and plush. And when we've ironed that flat with something stiff, that it doesn't take the surface feel away, but it takes the wrap,
Yeah.
the things that
yes,
you want a quilt to do. It's not wrong, right?
yes,
Mhm.
But this is another way that keeps the drapeability of the fabric intact. And I love that you're doing just the edge. I mean, I just think that's just brilliant. And so, right, so SF 101 would add more bulk and a little bit more stiffness. So,
right.
but that doesn't mean that it wouldn't work. And if for what you're doing, if you need it, like if you're doing a piece of wall art, you may want it a little bit stiffer. So you've got to think about how am I going to use this at the end? So those are really great questions to consider.
Yeah, the tip with the using the AccuQuilt to cut your strips last time, that has stuck with me this whole month. I've been thinking about it nonstop because I don't love using it to cut strips of Cuddle necessarily because sometimes I want the edge to have, be a little bit nicer. But and I do cut Cuddle with AccuQuilt, but in terms of the strips. But I love the idea of just getting all of those stabilizer strips just
Oh
banged
yeah.
out with AccuQuilt. So can you tell us what is how is AccuQuilt different than Cricut? Helen was asking that question.
The AccuQuilter and I have the Studio, so
Mhm.
it's a crank,
Yep.
and the Studio has bigger plates, bigger areas that you can put it on. Like,
Mhm. Yep.
and I know that the smaller one, I mean, literally, I don't know if you guys can see how huge
Yeah,
this
it's
is.
really big.
You know, and so it just makes it so that the pieces, I've got the AccuQuilter for lots of other pieces. I've done a double wedding ring in Cuddle 3 with the AccuCut, um, and it did just fine,
Mhm.
but what I did do was stabilize the edges of the C3 before I ran it through the AccuCutter.
Mm.
And so that it didn't have a tendency when it goes through the AccuCutter, it has a tendency to try to pull it down into those little slots that it's cutting. And if you stabilize the edge, even get close to the edge, it'll keep it more flat on top so
Mm.
you get a more accurate cut.
And are you
So,
cutting with the backing up?
yes,
Okay.
with the backing up.
Mhm.
So, it just is, one of the, again, there is no wrong,
Mhm.
just what you want to try and see, can I do this with this and will it come out as accurate as I want it? Am I going to get the product that I want to be able to create this masterpiece that I've got in my mind?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's really 99% of that.
Yeah. I think a really great way to um, kind of prepare yourself for those kind of experiments is when you're purchasing your fabric, like you've got your quilt pattern, you know what you want to do, you've got your pattern, and you know how much you need, but add a little bit extra so that you can do some experimenting before using the all the fabric, this precious amount that's exactly the right amount, right? So we often think, oh, well, we can use our scraps, but if you don't have scraps of Cuddle or Quilting Cuddle yet, well, just get a little bit more. You don't have to get a lot more,
No,
but
it
the
really is because you don't have to cut the whole block. You can
right.
just cut half a block,
Yeah.
or half an edge, or half a circle, or half a melon.
Mhm.
I mean, it doesn't have to have the whole thing if you're just trying to see, is this going to work for me? I think I've done two double wedding rings, and I think the most that I could cut was 3 layers at a time. So but that was, I was doing C3, and that's just what happened to fit through there nicely without getting to the end and going, oh, I need to trim that baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I love this. Somebody wants
Oh,
to know, how
man.
many colors does Quilting Cuddle come in? This is such a fun question. So it's really like this month, right?
It keeps changing. We keep adding more and more.
Okay, so what are we up to now? Does anybody know off the top of their head?
Oh my goodness, I don't even know. How many solids do we have? Was it all the way up to 50 now or no?
55.
Wow.
55.
55.
Wow.
See, 5 of them passed by me without me even realizing.
I think they
Wow.
were the
So
greens, the new
it's
greens.
awesome. I mean, oh yeah, oh yes, it was all those good greens. Yes. Oh, and I just love the solids. I've been like dying all year to build up all these solids. And so just the idea that there's 55 solids is
Wow.
so exciting.
So there's
Wow.
11 total collections, which is incredible to think about, that we've only had Quilting Cuddle for,
Just a couple months.
yeah, just a couple months.
I mean,
Really,
really, yes.
it was the fall
I'm
when
like, what month is it now? We haven't had it all.
it just, and Quilting Cuddle collections have really just hit stores this month, right?
Yes.
So most of the stores that started, some of them had some in the fall, but
Mhm.
most of the stores, especially if they were getting the Moda ones,
Yes.
those were just, they're just now available. So if you haven't seen them in your store, go back and check again. I mean, I'm not going to tell you, there's not ever a bad reason to go visit your quilt shop. Go today and see if they have some. What quilt shop wouldn't love to have you visit for National Quilting Month? So,
And I like to just remind everybody, with just as with, there's so many colors of C3, so many colors of Luxe Cuddle, now Quilting Cuddle, we're getting all those solids built up. Shannon Fabrics is really good about their naming conventions. And so if you see a scarlet red in C3, if you see the word scarlet in Quilting Cuddle, those are going to go together. So that if they don't go together, if the colors aren't matching, they'll use a different name for it. There'll be some new red that comes in, or they'll send it back and make them do it right. So if you're worried about all these new solids and all these things and having to learn all the new colors, if something is the same name convention as the other cuddles, it should fit right along with it.
yeah, the Luxe, all of it. And in the prints too. Did you say
Yes.
prints? How it goes in? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My mind wandered for a second because I was thinking, oh, I need some. Never mind. I shouldn't be shopping while we are online live, but here we are because we love fabric so much.
I know, right?
Okay, Billy, I pulled in a couple of pictures. I wonder if I can share them. But let's see. Let me just share this really quick. I pulled in this quilt that you had shared in the I Love Cuddle group.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me see if I can
Here, let
pop.
me slide you up.
Okay,
There we go.
look at
Oh
this.
yeah.
Tell us
Oh.
about this quilt.
Gorgeous.
This is a Tennessee waltz, old-fashioned pattern. You just with a little bit of twist. I did put red binding on it, and I already sent it away to Shannon, or I'd have it in my hot little hands to show you. But I've done several of these Tennessee waltz that with Cuddle, and it's just taking an old-fashioned pattern and putting a new modern twist to it. It gives you such cool movement, uh, cool ways to challenge your mind, to set up color, to set up different ways of having that one focal. I started out with this one when I saw that when Julie introduced that center fabric of the red, white, and blue and the cream in the background. I was just totally enamored. And I thought, man, for our 250-year anniversary, red, white, and blue, I really wanted it to be total, patriotic. Because of the more cream instead of white, it kind of lends itself more to Americana.
Yep.
than the patriotic red, white, and blue kind of that I thought I was going with. Again, fabric talks to you and tells you what it wants to be. But I did this. The center focal is C3, but all the rest of it is Quilting Cuddle. So
And you said, what did you end up binding it with the red? What did you end up
I
binding
did
it with?
bind it with the red.
Yeah, that's gonna be so beautiful.
So because the back is dark blue,
Mhm.
C3, and so I thought about doing it with the dark blue on the front, but then it wouldn't give that pop of color on the back side when you roll the binding over,
Mhm.
So I wanted both the front and the back to be able to be pretty, no matter which way you throw it. So I went with the red. It,
Oh,
it was a toss up. Blue, red, blue, red,
Right.
blue, red.
it's a hard choice. Okay, so you mentioned the back. And this is the part I love. I just love this part about quilting. Like, we could just do a whole thing on the back of quilts, but can I show y'all the back?
Yeah,
Because you put the back in there,
yeah,
y'all. Okay, I think this is what I love about quilting in general. So on the front, you have your blocks, and your blocks can kind of delineate areas that you may not attempt that on just a plain piece of fabric, but you have the shapes on the front to help you stay organized and to come up with a secondary pattern. And I love this so much because you've got, different kinds of quilting in those little areas. Those are your blocks, right?
yeah, yeah.
And
And that's what that star in the middle is, what the Tennessee waltz kind of gives movement to. And depending upon how you use your blocks on the front, you always get a secondary pattern on the back of what you're quilting. So I just the quilting is the star. You could just do almost anything, and when you flip it over, it's like, oh man, that turned out cool.
Right, which is so fun. I mean, that's part of the beauty of a quilt, right? Like, we've got
Right.
two. It's not just a one-sided piece of art. It's a double-sided, dimensional,
Yeah,
textural masterpiece.
absolutely.
Shauna wants to know how long it took you to make this.
Well, it took um 2 weeks to put all the blocks together. I was down in Tucson when uh, Julie sent me the fabric to start making these blocks. And so I made all the blocks. It took me just about 2 weeks, 10 days. And I was working on it about 6, 7 hours a day. And then I brought all the blocks home, put all the blocks together, and then quilted it. And it took me putting the blocks together and quilting it took me 5 days.
Wow.
So 15 days is what I had into it. Um, and, it sometimes the quilting part takes a little bit longer than you anticipate because you're blocking out each one to specifically have the same pattern in so it's consistent throughout. And and usually that's the hardest part. But again, if you while you're making it and you're thinking, oh man, wouldn't that star pattern look amazing inside that one block so it looks cool, and then you don't want to take away too much from the star, so you do some linear, piano keys in the other ones to kind of get it, and then you trace around the outside to make sure you delineate it, and it just, kind of, I can't tell you how many times I get down on the floor with my flashlight and look underneath and go, yeah, that's what I wanted. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
So it's kind of a surprise. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
you,
Well,
you know where
you
you're
kind of,
going.
the front, oops, sorry, the front shows, but when you've got a print, sometimes your quilting on the front doesn't come through as much as it does on that solid background. You can go underneath your machine before you've actually rolled it up and went, yeah, that's what I wanted. That's exactly how I expected it to look. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that. Okay, that quilt that you're working on behind you.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that, because you've done some different things than people normally expect when they're
Right.
doing patterns.
Well, it is started out as a log cabin, and you can kind of see it's a quarter square. Started out with a
Okay.
4-inch square and did my 2-inch strips all the way around. So I made a whole bunch of these, and then I got and again, this is where I always tell people I do monkey math, because it all depends. I want to end up with this, but how many inches in, and what is the curve going to be before I do it? And I have graph paper that I'll set over the top of it. Hang on one second. And I will kind of show you my process. So I knew how big my squares were going to be. And so I took this piece and cut out, so I had the circle. Now my other piece, I had to, of course, cut those, and it starts right here. So then you just sew these two together, and then I wanted a little, I'm going to have to do one without these little corner pieces in it. And I just folded these in half and used the 505 stick and sewed them on each corner. And then, of course, rolled it over so it created a little bit of a lip. So you can see that.
Okay. So you've got log cabin, drunkard's path, and cathedral windows all
Yeah.
in one.
Yes. I love it.
And I know you're already thinking how you're going to quilt that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What's-
And because it's got a nice big space,
Mhm.
and yeah, I've gotten a couple designs, and as soon as I lay them out on here, I'll go, yeah, it'll be yay or nay. It'll
Mhm.
be like, yeah, right on. But I had that other backup plan that I had in the back of my mind going, but if that doesn't work, this one will,
Mhm.
So and then I just, bound it with purple on the outside. But these, I mean, combine the blocks. It doesn't have to be just a block, or a
Mhm.
block in a triangle. You can take the drunkard's path and create this. You didn't even have to put in this other one, or it could have been, a dramatically different color, if you wanted to introduce another color in. But I sewed these on here with like as close to the edge as I could get. I did like an 1/8 inch with my little foot, and I had them all sitting there, and then just sew them together, and then of course, roll. I use the sewing machine to roll back the edges because I have a little bit more control um, in the sewing machine than I do trying to roll it on the long arm.
Mhm.
And so now it'll just slide into the long arm and da da da.
That's awesome. That's so, I love how everybody in the comments is kind of going nuts over your
Yes.
technique.
So
Because
and some
I
of
mean,
the
it doesn't have a square doesn't have to mean it's a square.
yeah.
It could mean that it could start out as a square because I wanted these cool creamy colors, but I wanted the purple to make it go, here I am,
Mm. Mhm.
so it could have been. When I look at a pattern or I start deciding, I never see color first. Color is always depends upon how they work well together. I mean, and it's like, does that tickle my fancy today? And it's like, right on. Yes, that's what I wanted. So I literally will have 10 or 15 bolts of fabric laying out on my cutting table, and my cutting table is 120 inches long. So I lay them out and try to look at them in different colors, in different lights, and turn the lights on and turn the lights off and go, okay, that one that's in the middle, you don't get to play with these guys. You get to get taken out somewhere else. You
Yeah.
got to wait another turn. And so it literally comes down to auditioning. What is your little fancy going to absolutely love today?
Yeah.
You know?
I love that. And really, a lot of quilting is not necessarily about following the pattern. There's nothing wrong with following a pattern,
Yeah.
and even doing a pattern in the exact same fabric, that's a great way to get started.
Yeah.
But all of the people that I've met that are quilters are really smart people. And so
Mhm.
it doesn't take long for them to springboard into their own special, like it's fun. And if it's not fun, I don't want to do it. And I know a lot of my quilting friends are like that. And we do this because it's fun. It tickles our brain just right. And
Yes.
Mhm.
yeah, I love hearing that from you, especially because you're so experienced at it.
Yeah.
Debbie is asking if you are ever going to do a sewing video for us, Billy. So maybe we'll talk about that
Yeah.
later.
I'll keep that in mind. But the thing is, everybody already knows how to do this. I mean, every single one of you has probably already attempted it. You just didn't think of taking it one step further, because anybody who's in this group loves cuddle and knows how to sew with it. So typically you already know. You just haven't went, well, I could do this one thing. And like Sheila said, I always cut a half a yard, a quarter yard to a half a yard more for that one little thing that I want to see. Okay, was I really right? Did I really think that that was going to be okay? Now I've got this little extra piece. I'm going to put this really weird, funky block together and go, whoa.
Yeah.
It's like this one. I mean, I thought it would be awesome, but I wanted to see, so I did. I think you guys saw that one that I posted that was all kinds of wacky colors, and said, what do you think about this block?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, yeah, now I got it. I'll do
Mhm.
that one little. I have a whole bunch of orphans that are around my sewing room that are like, that worked. It was kind of a good idea, but I don't want to make 25 of them. I mean, so
Right. Those test pieces teach us things. Like
Mhm.
absolutely.
maybe that's not
Absolutely.
fun for us. If it's not fun, you're gonna sit over there until you
Yeah.
find your place, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fun ones, we kind of go all in.
Right. Right. And it really is one of those. I had an idea. I tried it out. Okay. When I did that little orphan one, it was like, okay, I wanted to see when I rolled this back if I actually needed to put any kind of stabilizer in the back. And I didn't, because I rolled it and made sure everything stayed flat before I made that little curve.
Mm.
So really it's making sure you're pinning it and it's staying flat. But I didn't put any additional stabilizer back here,
Mm.
and it worked just fine.
Awesome. That's so great. And uh, my friend Shay's on here, and she says that's why she likes sampler quilts, and she gets to
Mm.
make different blocks. So all those orphans, they can go into a finished quilt, right?
Sure. Sure.
Um, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And if you're hesitant about it, they're they're teaching you something. So there's
Yeah.
value in learning the thing and experimenting. It's before you have to commit to something that's going to take you 3 weeks to get through. You know?
For sure.
So I love Linda said mistakes are a learning opportunity.
Absolutely.
LOL.
Mhm.
We, we embrace the struggle.
Jackie says she keeps shaking her head, and that's pretty much all I've been doing this entire time. Is like everything you've said, Billy. I've been like, yes, yes. Ooh, I didn't know that. That's yes, yes. Like, it's just been a lot of head shaking of yes, because
But
totally agree.
everybody on this site and all of the Cuddle ambassadors who sew with it, you pretty much know everything I already do. You just haven't thought about it in step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Every one of you, if you are a successful Cuddle sewer, you pretty much already know everything that I know.
Mm.
I mean, pat yourself on the back because you just haven't thought about, oh, well, yeah, I know that. Yeah, of course. I know that. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you just need to be reminded. That's all.
Yep.
Okay, everybody go pat yourself on the back right now. Come on, do it.
Absolutely.
Because we all need that little boost of confidence. And that's why we do this, so we can help each other. We're all in this together. We all
Yep.
love to sew. And so, yeah, I like that Helen Powers asked this question. She asked it to all of us, and we can each say what we do. And is there a right answer? Do we tell recipients of our quilts that they don't belong on a bed and never wash them? Ajara, you go first. What do
Well,
you
Sheila already knows my answer to this. I am a wash, wash, wash person. That's why I love quilting cuddle or any cuddle. It's 100% polyester, launders beautifully, doesn't shrink. Yeah, I love the fact that I can gift these quilts, throws, blankets, stuffed animals. You can gift them to people with little babies that are just going to be gross on them. I mean, we all like have been there when the kid has, you know, throw it up or something terrible, and it's not ruined forever. Throw it right in the wash. Cool, no fabric softeners, and it's good as new when
That's
it
right.
comes out the other end.
The fabric softener, I think, is the key for me because
Yes.
I also live in a high life house.
Yes.
We've got 3 teenage boys at home and a dog and 2 cats. So everything gets washed all the time. But
Yep.
as long as I'm not using any fabric softener in the washer or the dryer, and that means pellets, liquid sheets, and I double check that when I bought laundry detergent, it doesn't have added softeners in those because those can bind with the fibers on your cuddle and make something that's really not pleasant. So, Billy, what do you do? What do you say?
I absolutely agree. I'm just the head shaker here. I will just I mean, I have quilts that I made for my 23-year-old granddaughter when she was born, and
Mm,
they have been washed literally a gazillion times because we
mhm.
know how, and they still look absolutely gorgeous. It's got to be washable. It's got to be for me.
Mhm.
There's
Gotcha.
a couple of them that I did as art quilts
Yeah.
that I don't wash. That are on the wall that I kind of uh, might run the vacuum cleaner over it, but for 99 and 9/10% of the time, I'm an absolute washer, and I've never had, I only had my son call me and go, Mom, I ruined the quilt. What am I going to do? And I went, put it back in, you know, he put in something yellow with one of the granddaughter's pink quilts. And, it was like, he was just, I can't give this to her and it's her favorite. I went, okay, put it back in, put in some, color safe bleach with it and see if it'll take it out. And it did. So it was like, whew, okay. We skated and she never knew that we had a disaster, so yeah.
I love it.
We're all just doing our own little experiments in our home labs, aren't we?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
absolutely. Chemical analysis,
Mhm.
101. Every housewife in the whole world would probably just swing right on by that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just the durability of it. So, even just, yes, we're washing them, all that kind of stuff. But as you're saying, a 23-year-old quilt, I mean, cotton doesn't hold on quite as nicely as the polyester does. So, we all love our cotton quilts too, but there's something about Cuddle that it's that durability factor for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, we we got to go pick up kids, right?
Yeah,
Billy may
yep.
not have to pick up kids, but you got snow to watch and
Yeah,
quilts to
there you
make.
go.
So
Yep,
we want to
exactly.
again tell you thank you so much for joining us. This is really, really helpful to all of us through our quilting and on our quilting journey and our cuddle journey. So I love that you've been so generous sharing your tips. For all of you watching, if you're interested in more and you want to deep dive and you want to see more Billy's process, go pick up her book. We linked it earlier. It's on Amazon. You can get the Kindle version. You can get the hard or the paperback version sent to you. Sometimes you'll find it in your quilt shop. So, Billy, you were telling us that it was in your quilt shops up in Montana for a while.
Well, yeah, when I did, because the one that's on Amazon was the second one that I made. And the first one was just, how to do strip quilts because it was so new to everybody. And I only had it in the stores in Montana. And at that time, I did not understand what an undertaking it was going to be. And so I was really thankful that it didn't go further than Montana. I wasn't quite prepared to go teach everywhere, you know. So yeah, it's so fun, and if you get just one or two little ideas out of any quilt book, I think that you call it a win-win.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I completely agree. Okay. The other thing that we need to tell everybody, if you oh wait, let's do
Wait,
winners. I shared the winners
Yes.
with us first, and then we'll talk about classes. So
Here.
tell us about our winners.
Okay, so we've got Birdie, Kate. Sorry, I got to get closer. Birdie, Kate, and Helen. Yay, Helen Powers!
Oh,
after all our questions today. And at L Treehouse, I believe it says. Sorry, I have my computer way back today, so it wasn't in the way of the camera. But yay! So you will be receiving a fat quarter pack of Quilting Cuddle. All you need to do is email info@shannonfabrics.com. You want name, your shipping info, and your phone number. Use the subject line live winner and we'll get you your fat quarter pack.
That's so exciting. Congratulations to our winners. We have classes coming up. So we want you to go to shannonfabrics.com, click on the Learning Center, look under the classes and events, and see what classes are coming up in your local area. If you don't have a class, run over to your quilt shop and ask them for a cuddle class because we have a huge assortment of classes for both cuddle fabrics and quilting cuddle now that we could do at your shop. So we are super excited about getting the education for cuddle out there and in your hands. We've got free patterns. And next week, we'll have another Sew Together live, and we'll be talking more about cuddle. So,
next week's me. I'm Sew Together Live, and I'm doing, because next month, April is National Serger Month. So, Sheila and I are super excited about that. So next week, I will be serging a stuffed animal with Cuddle. So we'll have some fun stuffed animal tips and some serger tips. So even if you don't serge, you'll still have some stuffed animal tips. But if you've got your serger, get ready to dust it off because we're going to be using them this month.
Yay.
Exciting. That's super exciting. Thank you all so much. And Billy, thank you again for joining us. We're just honored that you could spend some time with us, sharing all your tips and your experience. It's always great to learn from each other, and we've really enjoyed having you with us.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. A
Thanks,
pleasure.
Billy.
My pleasure.
All right, everybody, we will see you soon. So don't forget to join the I Love Cuddle Fabric group. Ask your questions in there. If you still have questions that we didn't answer, put them in the comments. We're going to go back and check it, and or go post in the I Love Cuddle Fabric group because we're always in there, ready to help. All right.
Absolutely.
Happy sewing, everybody. Thank you again.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.